Okay, and welcome. Today I'm going to try to sort of address a mild controversy within the Shadow Empire community, revolving around calibers and sort of small, like, Charge Gauss weapons versus the laser weapon equivalent. Part of this controversy, and I haven't necessarily resolved this controversy for myself yet, is that effectively for Shadow Empire we have sort of three sources of authority. We've got the manual, which is what's currently going to be up on screen here. We've got the game, and we've got the patch notes. If you look at the manual here, lasers have 30 millimeters of penetration, and small arms have 20. The controversy is that that might not actually be the case in the game after various patches and changes, as some people have experimentally found that it looks like regular small arms appear, at least in the Charge Gauss version, to sometimes have 30 millimeters of penetration. So I'm going to go over the back and forth on why you'd want to use small arms versus lasers, assuming the manual is correct, and then go over a little bit of discussion of why that might not be the case, where the manual might no longer be authoritative, and then do an example of what it looks like in-game, although I haven't done enough testing to confirm for myself what the cause of the controversy is. So with that, I'm going to go and move to the PowerPoint. Okay, so here is the PowerPoint that I made up. So here we have Charge Gauss Small Arms and Laser Small Arms. This is data from the manual and what's sort of very accessible in the game. So if you look into the game, I believe this is currently the firepower values if you have a game in the current patch. Although to get these firepowers, I did load up an older save where I had access to both Laser Small Arms and Charge Gauss Small Arms. So if that's something that doesn't update with loading an earlier save, that might be a discrepancy. Shouldn't be. So the base firepower on the Charged Gauss Small Arms is 230 firepower, and on the Laser Small Arms is 300. Both have non-linear techs, basically conventional small arms optimization and energy small arms optimization that provide up to 50% firepower buffs to both. At some point in the development of the game, both hyper-explosive ammo and actinide tip ammo were added, which add soft firepower and hard firepower respectively. These only affect kinetic weapons such as Charge Gauss Small rounds, so this only applies to the Charge Gauss Small arms. If you sort of sum all of that up, from a pure firepower perspective, if you have all the techs, which you may not have depending on where you are in the game, Charge Gauss will have a little bit more firepower than the Laser Small Arms, as the 50% buffs that it gets overweigh the firepower difference between it and Laser Small Arms. So why would you want to normally use Laser Small Arms? Well, if the manual is to be believed, the Charge Gauss Small Arms have 20 millimeter caliber for penetration rolls, and the Laser Small Arms have 30. Additionally, the Laser Small Arms use energy rather than ammo. This is the ammunition before attacks. The compact small arms, or compact small ammo, or compact ammo, and one of the other ammo techs apply only the ammo, doesn't apply the energy, is my understanding. So you'd get a little bit better results on the left side if you have those techs as well. So with this, when you account for the penetration modifiers, you're expecting Laser Small Arms, when firing at things that have more than 30 millimeters of armor, to have about 50% more penetration, which means they'll do about 50% more damage. You're still probably expecting the Charged Gauss Small Arms to probably hit more, which may have morale effects. But after accounting for the armor effects, the Laser Small Arms should, in theory, do more damage. Because that extra 10 millimeters armor is about 50% more penetration, which will translate to converting hits into kills 50% more. This is what you would get if you're analyzing it from a manual perspective. The controversy currently going on, I think, in the community is that if you're in game, at least for some people testing this doesn't appear to be the case. So I'll go to the second slide here. The second slide is some people are saying that it does appear that the penetration on at least the Charge Gauss Small Arms at some point in the game appears to be acting like it's 30 millimeter caliber. When we get into, I'm gonna show where you can find, or where you can see what the caliber matrix effect is in game, which is not the penetration value, but rather what the penetration value is in comparison to the armor you're shooting at. That's where they're getting that information from, where they're feeling like Charged Gauss has 30mm caliber penetration when the manual says it's 20. So this might be that there was a patch at some point where it actually got its caliber upgraded, or it might be that some information is hiding from us that isn't in the manual. One explanation for that might be hyper-explosive ammo and actinide tip ammo in theory do 50% more firepower, and that's easily accessible and easy to find. I would not be surprised, because actinide tip ammo talks about penetration, that maybe the actinide tip ammo modifier also, or one or both of these, applies effectively a penetration improvement, so potentially a 50% penetration improvement. That would have to be tested experimentally. I haven't tested that experimentally, and or found in the patch notes. If that's the case, then there's going to be a window where the laser small arms do more damage because they have the higher base firepower and the higher base penetration. But maybe that text will change that as you get through the tech tree researching text. But that would have to be experimentally determined, or again, found in the patch notes. So let me swap over to the game here, and I'll show you what the caliber matrix look like in game, so you can find it yourself. And also why I'm going to say that I'm not 100% sure that it is base penetration, because I've at this point deduced to myself that there are modifiers in the matrix, at least the shown matrix value, that aren't included in the numbers implied in the manual. Okay, here we are in game. So to generate an example where I have a caliber matrix modifier, I haven't had enough time to do testing with a variety of units. In this case, I have attacked a unit of rifle militia. They should be using small arm kinetics, so they should have about 20mm of penetration, and I'm attacking them with a militia buggy. The militia buggy, assuming it has normal armor for buggies, either has 5mm, 25mm, or 50mm of armor. So if you go into, when you've got a combat up, this is the combat, for example. Terrible combat, don't do this battle. This would have been a terrible battle, and we're just doing this for demonstration purposes. You can go into details. You can go find, round by round, what every unit was doing, both to and from themselves in the combat. For our purposes, we're going to find a round where the militia buggy was engaged in combat, and where it's getting shot at by the enemy. In here, you can see the militia buggy is an armored buggy, so the caliber matrix modifier comes up. This implies we have more armor than the other unit has penetration. We're getting a modifier of about 18%. Now, if we go back to where I was talking about with that armor, the expectation is that the rifle militia probably has 20mm penetration, because that's the standard small caliber penetration roll, or penetration amount. And that the buggy either has 5, 25, or 50mm armor. Well, 5, this wouldn't show up, because we wouldn't have enough armor to get a caliber matrix modifier. 50, we should be pulling effectively a minus 40% modifier here. Although, and this is where the unusual thing comes in, for 25, we would expect it to be minus 20. So we know there's a discrepancy here, or at least in this test. I haven't tested enough to figure out if the discrepancy applies elsewhere. I also know this is a situation where neither side is going to have actinide armor, or actinide tipped ammo, or hyper-explosive ammo. So what I suspect here is that the caliber matrix modifier is modified by things other than the penetration caliber and the armor thickness. In this case, I suspect that it's an ambush modifier. We're attacking into a forested area with poor reconnaissance. So in the earlier rounds of this combat, we're effectively being ambushed. And I suspect the ambush modifier mitigates some of the armor here, which is why we're getting a non-standard result, why we're getting minus 18% instead of minus 20%. Because I suspect the armor, the militia buggy is got 25 armor, and that's just being mitigated by the ambush modifier. This is also why I suspect that it may be a tech-related thing causing the discrepancy and the problem people are having with armor penetration deviating from what's said in the manual. I suspect the manual may in fact be accurate, but it's missing that probably actinide tip ammo probably has an armor penetration effect of like plus 50%, which would up it from 20 to 30, and thus result in the expectations that, or what people are saying. I do need to still test that. Trying to find, well, I'd have to sort of artificially create a situation. I tend to be a person who tends not to use laser weapons, often because I haven't sorted out the energy infrastructure to support them. Not because I don't think they don't have a window or a use case, but because I really don't have the energy infrastructure to support them. Because if we went back to that PowerPoint, right, you'd see that I at least think, if the manual is correct, there is a use case to use them, specifically when you're going to be looking for low logistical requirements, because energy has no weight, whereas ammo has a logistical weight to it. Also, there's a use case, in theory, if it has 30 millimeters of penetration, and the small arms have 20. But that may not be the case. That is what the controversy is in the community at the moment. And I have to do more testing to prove to myself one way or the other whether or not that's the case. So yeah, that's going to be something I'm going to be testing over the next couple days and weeks, is what is the caliber matrix modifier effects for various weapons, partially as I sort of develop them in this game here. As we can see, this is a minus 18%, so I suspect that at least ambush modifiers affect armor. And I suspect if there's one modifier hidden here, there can be other modifiers hidden here, such as maybe one of the techs that's affecting. So with that is going to be the end of this recording. Originally I was going to try to make this short, but seeing as this part alone is 5 minutes, and I've got a couple bits I'm going to add together to make the whole thing, this obviously won't be in short territory. It'll be a bit too long for that. But this is just a sort of a video summary of, I think, the current state of the Shadow Empire sort of controversy over penetration, at least when it comes to small arms. And one thing I can show here is one of the things that came up in the discussion was... Oh, this is... Actually, I'm not going to show it here without loading a different save. There was some discussion about it in case of tanks. So tanks is definitely a situation where, unless there's another hidden modifier, like actinide tip ammo providing 50% penetration, where the laser max on, say, the medium tanks very heavily favors using the laser weapons. And this is because the laser weapons are 200 millimeter of penetration versus the 105 of the high-velocity cannons that the tanks can otherwise arm. Although, if the actinide tip ammo is a 50% modifier, that's going to be a lot closer from a penetration standpoint, and that's going to muddy the waters there. But of course, that requires testing. So with that, this is where I'm going to put the end of the video. I hope you've been enjoying. This is going to be a YouTube-only video because of how I had to edit this together. It was not streamed live. So if you want to see this game of Shadow Empire be run live, it'll be on streamed live to Twitch under the username Wilkle. And it will be uploaded to YouTube under the username Wilkle100. And with that, wish you all the best of luck and a good time until the next part and or next stream in any of the series you're watching. Bye for now.